Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss. For the first time in a while, I am bringing you a review for my teen romantic comedy SNAFU, aka Oregairu, episode 13, because I figure why not? Might as well finish the series off. It's been a while since I last made a video. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. Um, and I fell behind in some stuff because of vacation and everything. But I caught up to my anime. I still need to caught up. I still need to caught up. I still need to catch up to my manga because I'm still like a month behind in pretty much everything I'm reading. So or more. So uh, yeah, I still need to catch up to that in order to do reviews for those. But yeah, for the most part, I am back. I probably won't be reviewing any anime this season just because it's kind of, almost over. Um, but next season, I'll probably get right on that. Um, I already know a few things I'll be watching, like One Punch Man, because it's awesome, and it's Madhouse, and it's awesome. Okay, so you guys should watch that. But anyway, let's just get into this final review for Oregairu Season 2, Episode 13. Um, this episode was really confusing at the end. It was just really ridiculously unnecessarily vague. And Hikigaya even mentioned it. Like I've had enough of all these vague answers and crap. Like he actually said it, so it's like they're aware of the fact that it's vague and they did it anyway. Um, I guess I guess Yui was being intentionally vague, but I'll get to that later. The beginning of the episode was pretty normal, really. There was a little bit of Komachi-based comedy there. They had this they were all about to leave, but it was really awkward because they just didn't really know how to leave. But Haruno showed up, and then she started attacking Yukino pretty much, not like physically, but the way she usually does. First, she decides to tell Yukino that she's actually going to be moving in with her, and I guess she does. She didn't really have a choice in the matter, and she claims that she's doing this because both her and their mother don't like the way that Yukino is changing, and Yukino made this comment about she Yukino tried to fight her on it and everything, but Haruno kind of shot her down and said, "You don't have your own sense of self, so like who are you to tell me what's right for you and what isn't? You don't even know who you are." And Yukino couldn't really counter it, so Hiki and Yui stepped up and they kind of pushed Haruno back. And they ended up all of them going to Yui's house because Yukino didn't feel like being with her sister at the time and, going home. For the record, Yui's mom, hilarious. Okay, she's funny. That entire I wish she had shown up for more than just those like 10 seconds because she was actually really funny. Um, but Yui wants Yukino to actually stay over, but she didn't want to. She didn't want to cause trouble or anything, which is a normal response to that. You don't want to you don't want to like put anyone out or anything. Like, you just don't want to cause trouble, right? But Hikigaya ended up getting her to stay by telling her that both her and Haruno needed some time to calm down and think things over. And to his surprise and Yui's surprise, she called Haruno to let her know, and she actually admitted that it was both of them that needed that time to think things over. All right, um, and Haruno, by the way Yukino was at, because Haruno was under the belief that Yukino can't really do anything on her own. So for her to actually call Haruno and make this statement, someone must have told her to do it and gotten her to act in that way. So her first assumption is Hikigaya. She's like, "Oh, Hiki, he's there, right? Let me talk to him." So then she died. If I was Yukino, I would have just hung up right then and there. But she gave the phone to Hikigaya, and Haruno ended up telling Hikigaya that he's a nice guy, I guess because um, he keeps helping Yukino and trying to allow her to grow as a person, but he also doesn't want her to burn her bridges and just get alienated from her family. So while he doesn't agree with what Haruno is saying or doing, he doesn't want Yukino to ignore what's going on and not stay over with Haruno. Oh, I guess Haruno's the one staying over with her, but you know, he's being cautious of the way this entire situation is handled, and Haruno is telling him he's a nice guy for it. But it's also her way of just messing with him. All right, but anyway, after that we have the triple date there. There were some funny moments here, like they had that one creepy fish, and Yukino named it Hickey Fishy. That was funny. Yui touched a stingray or something like that, and it was really slimy. And then Yui like put her hand back, like, "Well, that's really slimy." And Yukino was like, "What? Did you touch Hikigaya?" So that was funny. Um, but there was a moment here that stuck out to me during this date where Yui actually tells Hikigaya that she's not the nice person he thinks she is, which reminds me of what Hayama said like episodes back, you know. Um, and I would assume that when she says this, she means that she's, I guess, more selfish than Hikigaya gives her credit for. Something along those lines. That's what I would assume. If it gets a third season, I assume that that's when we would really explore this the psychology of both Yui and Hayama in terms of how they aren't as nice as Hikigaya thinks they are. Because Hiki had a moment later in the episode where he was talking about how he makes assumptions about people and who they are. He assumed that Yui was a nice girl, which, for the record, that nice girl speech he did in season 1, that's what I thought about when I heard this. All right, how he hates nice girls, and he was thinking of Yui as a nice girl, and she's saying, "No, I'm not a nice girl." So that actually has two different meanings right there. One, she's not a nice girl in the sense that she's kind of selfish, and two, she's not a nice girl in the sense that she actually likes him, and she's not treating him that way just to be nice. So that actually has two meanings there. Boom. All right, but yeah, he assumes that Yui is a nice girl. He assumes that Hayama is a nice guy. He assumes that Yukino is a strong girl. He assumes all these things about people. So, and we've seen Hikigaya grow as a person throughout the season. This is just another thing he has to. This is another realization he's made about himself, and one of the flaws that he has to fix. And I'm assuming if there's a season 3, which I hope there would be, I would assume that that's what the season would focus on. Though, if I'm correct, I think this season adapted the most current of the light novels, I think. So it would take a while for the light novels to put out enough material for a third season. But it sells, the Blu-rays and DVDs sell well enough to get a third season, I would think so. Because they're up there. They gets like 6,000-7,000 per volume, you know, so that's pretty good. I've seen things sell less and get another season, so I would assume that Oregairu would get another one. Um, anyway, moving on. Yeah. Yui, actually, talking about Yui being a nice person and not being a nice person, it was interesting that that would come up because the very next thing that happens is that the three of them are looking at these penguins, okay? But it's mating season, so there are a lot of couples among the penguins, and this makes things kind of awkward. So Yukino decides to walk away and allow Yui to have some alone time with Hikigaya. However, after that, Yui allows Hikigaya to get some alone time with Yukino as well. So, you know, she says she's not a nice person, but is she really that bad of a person? She didn't have to do that. She allowed Hikigaya to go talk to Yukino, and then she just stood there for a few seconds waiting for them to finish what they were saying and everything, you know, before she showed up, you know. So, I mean, it's just the way the characters perceive themselves and the way that others perceive them. It's so interesting. The psychology of these characters is so great, and I've seen a lot of people complain about it on Crunchyroll, saying it doesn't make sense, it's so hard to understand, and blah blah blah. But if you get it, you realize just how masterfully written the series is. It's just so good. It really is. It's just really freaking good. All right. But while Yukino was talking to Hikigaya, this is actually important. While Yukino was talking with Hikigaya, she describes herself by saying that if she has nowhere to go, she's not going to find the place where she belongs. So she has to have something that she's striving towards in order to truly find where she belongs. Then she added on, she'll hide, ride the current, and follow something else and crash into walls that she can't see. So she's kind of just describing her struggle since the beginning of the season, trying to figure out who she is and how she keeps ringing all these walls, and she doesn't realize it until someone points it out. Like when Haruno would talk to her about being the chairperson of the festival or whatever, like stuff like that. She'll always run into the wall she can't see, and she'll need someone else to determine what direction she should go in. So that's been brought up before. And in response to this, Hickey begins to compare their situations to a Ferris wheel, which I agree 100% with what he said here. He said, as they ride when they actually get on the Ferris wheel after the penguins and the one-on-one time and everything, he says, a Ferris wheel disguises its instability as it keeps slowly turning around and around. It never moves forward, but just keeps spinning in the same spot forever. And that describes their situation so well, because all of them are trying to grow as people, but they're realizing that as they grow as people, their relationships are getting farther and farther apart with each other. Like they're distancing themselves from each other, and they don't want that. So they want to grow, but they want to stay together, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I saw people complain about that on Crunchyroll too, how it feels like there's never any progress being made because at the end of the day, nothing ever changes. But what those people don't realize is that's the point. That's exactly the point. It's not supposed to change. That's the entire purpose of it. They try to change, and they realize that if they change too much, then the dynamic that they love is going to disappear. So now they have to try and figure out a way to change without changing. Pretty much like that. So that's the entire point. All right. So I know some people may have problems with the fact that things aren't changing, but you got to realize that's the point. And Hikigaya literally says it outright right here. All right. Disguise the instability, keep slowly turning around and around, never moving forward, just spinning in the same spot forever. That Hikigaya literally just says it outright right there. So it's not like this is some overanalyzation on my part or over-analysis on my part. Is that even a word? Over-analysis. This isn't over-analysis on my part. Hikigaya literally comes out and says it. All right, so that's that. And this episode was really, really well written up until the confusing parts, because we see this play out, this idea that things don't move forward and they just keep going around and around. We see that play out in the very next scene, because Yui gives Hikigaya her homemade cookies. Homemade and handmade. All right. And it looked like she was going to take a step forward, but instead of admitting what it really was, it was an act of it sounds weird to say it was an act of love. All she did was give him cookies, but like it was an act of her it was her feelings towards him, kind of like it was her expressing her feelings towards him. But instead of actually saying that, she just said it was in order to thank him for her teaching, for him teaching her back in like episode 1 of season 1, like all the way back then. She says it was just to thank him for that. And Hikigaya is like, you already thanked me for that. But, Yui doesn't want to admit that that's the reason she's giving him the cookies. All right. And I thought that maybe she might have been trying to get Yukino to give Hikigaya cookies as well, because she's kind of like, has trouble admitting to herself what her feelings are as well. So I thought Yui was going to try and lead by example, and that's why she was doing this. But that can't be true, because she goes on and she says that if any of them ever find out how the others feel, it would ruin the dynamic that they have. All right, which saying that inherently is admitting to your own feelings and Yukino's feelings and Hikigaya's feelings. So, but just by saying that, everybody knows how the other feels, like already. So it's kind of weird to say it that way, but they're all in denial about it except for Yui. So I guess it's fine. Hikigaya is in denial because he's had trouble in the past. Whenever he's actually thought a girl liked him, he legitimately thought a girl liked him, and he developed feelings for them. He ended up getting hurt in the end and crushed, and told that they didn't actually like it, they were just being nice. So he doesn't want to believe that a girl actually likes him, because he's afraid of misjudging the situation again and getting hurt. Alright, so that's what it's like with Hikigaya. And Yukino, she doesn't know who she is, she doesn't know what she wants, she doesn't really know anything, she's just lost. Okay? So she just doesn't even really, she has feelings for Hikigaya. And she kind of realizes it, but she doesn't recognize what those feelings mean. Like she knows she feels something for Hikigaya. She just doesn't realize that love is what it is that she's feeling. And that's how I see things. Because at this point, there's no way she doesn't realize that she acts differently and feels differently towards him than she does guys like Hayama. There's no way she doesn't realize that yet. She's a smart girl. She's not dense like Ichika or Mora from Infinite Stratos. Like she's not like that, or Saya from Blood Plus, or was it Blood C, whichever one. The one that's like really really slow and episodic, and that Saya is even more dense than Ichika. I swear, I didn't think it would be possible to find someone more dense than Ichika, but this girl accomplishes that. Okay, but anyway, off topic. Yukino isn't dense, so I'm sure she realizes she feels differently towards Hikigaya than she does other guys. I just don't think she realizes that love is what it is that she's feeling. All right. But anyway, Yui says that um, she doesn't want any of them to find out how the other feels because it would ruin the dynamic that they have. Okay. And so she couldn't have been trying to lead by example and get Yukino to give Hikigaya cookies, because that would be that would be that would be Yukino realizing how she feels, and she doesn't want that because she doesn't want the dynamic to be ruined. Okay. Um, However, this is where things start to get really vague. Yui says she has one last request for them, right? And she brings up that contest that Shizuka started, where the person who helps people the best can get the other two to do whatever they want. Okay, and then she follows that up by saying that she knows the answer to Yukino's problem, which, finding out who she is, what she wants, etc. And she even says that it's the same answer for all of them. So Yui is essentially saying she can solve everybody's problem. All right. And if she wins, she's going to take everything. Now, what does she mean by everything? At first, I thought she meant she wanted to take Hikigaya for herself. And she just called herself unfair. She called herself mean. She said she's not as nice as Hikigaya thinks she is. So I thought it makes perfect sense for her to mean she's going to use this contest as a way to get Hikigaya. She's going to help a bunch of people and then use the prize as a way to be with Hikigaya. All right. And when you think about it, solving Yui's problem and Hikigaya's problem would inherently make her win the competition. Because if Hikigaya isn't good enough to solve his own problem, and Yukino isn't good enough to solve her own problem, but Yui can solve all of their problems and her own, that inherently means she's in the lead and she pretty much wins, right? So by accepting this deal that Yui is doing, they would essentially be admitting defeat. They would be guaranteeing their defeat in this competition. All right, so, and that could lead to Hikigaya being with Yui because of her being able to make them do whatever she wants. All right. However, Yui just got done saying that she wants to maintain the status quo and keep their dynamic the same. So it's possible that she could be trying to do what she did with the whole race to see who would become student council president, and she's trying to kind of do some self-sacrifice like Hikigaya, and just like she did with the student council president race. She's trying to manipulate things in a way that helps Hikigaya and helps Yukino, and she would use this competition as a way to force them to act in ways that would solve both of their problems. So that's another way that it could be taken. So it's not that she's going to solve their problems and by doing that win. She's going to win first and then use that victory to then solve their problems. All right? And still keep the dynamic the same, which would mean that she wouldn't end up with Hikigaya, no one would. So but it's so vague, you don't really know which one it is. All right? And Hikigaya is listening to her say this and he's thinking, the easy thing to do would be to listen to her, because she's the only one of us who actually seems like she knows where things are leading and she can actually solve things and actually get us all what we want, right? But at the same time, he refers to what she's doing and saying as deception. So that makes things even more vague, because we already have two ways this can be taken, maybe even more than that. But if it's deception, that Hikigai is saying it's deception, does that mean that she means she it can literally be like, it could be that she means one but is saying the other, or she, it could be that she thinks that she's doing it for one reason, but she's deceiving herself, and it's actually for the different reason. Like that could literally mean anything. So, it's just so vague. It really is. It's so vague, and Yukino doesn't really know what to do. She really doesn't. She's running into another one of those invisible walls. She needs someone else to guide her. She just doesn't know what to do. And like Hikigai said, the easy thing to do would be to say yes. And because Yukino has hit another wall, because she doesn't know what to do, because Yui has guided her in the past, the easy thing for her to do is to say yes. And she starts to say yes. But then that's when Hikigaya stands up and says, no, you cannot entrust your future to someone else. You have to solve your own problem. All right? And why he ended up disagreeing with her, I don't know. I mean, he said it was deception. I don't know. I saw someone in Crunchyroll comment and say that they believe he's stepped up and stopped this because he got tired of all the superficial stuff, just controlling their relationship, and he wants them all to just be real. He says he's after the real thing, but all this superficial stuff is the exact opposite of reality. It's not real at all. It's superficial. They're antonyms for each other. It just doesn't work. So it could be that he just didn't want all the superficial stuff and all these fake feelings and nonsense to keep their relationship together. He wants them to just be real with each other. So that could possibly be it. Or maybe he realized that doing this would inherently make him lose, and he wanted to keep the playing field even. Maybe he was truly just looking out for Yuki now, and what he thought was best for her. We'll never really know, because it's the end of the season. So we won't really get. And this is what makes it even more weird, because it is the end of the season. So if there were a couple episodes after this, we'd be able to see this play out a little bit and get some type of confirmation as to what it is Yui meant, what it is that Hikigaya meant by all this, what it is that the entire scene meant. But it's the end of the season. So until we get a season 3, if we get a season 3, we won't really know what this scene means. All we'll be able to do is guess, all right, and just theorize, all right. And and the scene is made even more confusing because of, well, I guess this kind of sheds a little bit of light on it, I guess, because after this is when Hikigaya starts talking about how he's had enough of all these vague answers and everything. This is when he brings up how he's assumed all these character traits about people, Yui being nice, Yukino being strong. He's assumed all these things. And then he says that if they try to pursue the real thing, they'll never actually find it. So you can say that he did actually kind of say it right there, that he doesn't want these superficial things to control their relationship. If they try to manipulate things superficially in order to get the real thing, they'll never actually get the real thing, because it won't be real, it will be superficial. So that's what Hikigaya says, and Yui ends up agreeing with it. Yukino she ends up agreeing with it as well. And as vague as this scene was, what I got out of it is that all three of them want the best for each other. They want each other to be happy, but they're realizing it's impossible for all of them to be happy. So they're trying all these things to create a superficial happiness for them all, but they're realizing that superficial happiness is not real happiness, and therefore does not actually accomplish the goal that they set out to achieve. So, yeah, um, that's pretty much what I got out of it. Despite how vague the scene is, you can kind of get a little bit out of it, even though we can't really confirm the details until who knows how long. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Because of some interruptions that I ended up having, I couldn't finish the recording when I wanted to. That's why you see the lighting changed, because it's a few hours later, more than a few actually. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video, which it's unfortunate too, because I was pretty much done. I just need to get that last part out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the review. Um, Honestly, I'll give the episode an 8 out of 10. It was pretty good. It was really vague, but you could get some stuff out of it. It's just annoying not being able to get any confirmation of any of these theories. But I'll give the episode an 8 out of 10. And for the season overall, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because it had some really good comedy in there, had some really good drama. Everything was well written, a little vague at times, but um, still really well written, really, really good character development, and just great. It was just a great season, really. So overall, I'll give the entire season, second season, a 9 out of 10. And yeah, that's that, you guys. I'll be catching up to manga, and hopefully I'll be able to put some reviews for that out as well. And that's that, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at BlacklistOTA, because sometimes I don't feel like making videos for like channel updates and stuff, because why make an entire video if I'm just going to say one or two things? Might as well just send out a couple tweets instead. So follow me on Twitter for updates. Also, I tweet about wrestling every once in a while, retweets from people, some funny things here and there, anime related things, you know. So follow me on Twitter at BlacklistOTA, and I'll see you guys next time.